So for many of us, deployment is a new process, so let's go ahead and cover some of the concepts. Okay, so let's take a look at what we're doing when we're deploying our project. We want a client to interact with the app we've built. So we reserve a little computer space from AWS, and we want to turn it into a server. So in order for our client to request our app, we need the app on that server. Here's your Django app. Great, it lives there. Now, in order for the client to talk to that app, we need to install something on this computer called a web server. And the web server that we're using is called Nginx. So we're going to be installing this web server. Nginx. Now, what Nginx does is listens for requests coming from a client. So the client sends a request, Nginx receives that request. Now, we need our Nginx and our app to talk to each other. So Django apps use something that's called a Web Server Gateway Interface, or WSGI for short, WSGI. All right, so we need a WSGI. Now, there's different types of WSGIs. We're going to be using one called Gunicorn or Green Unicorn. Now, this is what handles this connection right here. So this Gunicorn is the middleman, so to speak. So what Gunicorn does is it takes Nginx and plugs it into our app. So now any requests that come into Nginx and any routes that are associated with it are passed through Gunicorn and connected to our app. This connection, these little lines, are what's called a .sock file, which is essentially a Unix domain socket that allows Gunicorn to talk to our app, Gunicorn to talk to Nginx. So the flow goes like this. The client sends a request to Nginx. Nginx talks to Gunicorn. Gunicorn talks to the app. And wouldn't you know, it's passed right back over and back to the client. So the request has been served, connected to our app through all the routes that we were using. As you were developing, it was localhost 8000 and then all the given URLs after it. Well, now AWS gives us an IP. And so that IP is now the new version of localhost, or the not localhost, your web server. Okay, so good luck with your deployment. Now keep in mind of the rule of measure twice and cut once, meaning there's a lot of steps. Read them twice before you do them. And anytime you're entering code into your console, read it over twice. Make sure there's no typos or errors before you press enter. Most of the time I see a deployment fail is because of just typos. So be careful. Go slow. And also, if you do find an error and you fix it, go ahead and stop and restart your Gunicorn and stop and restart Nginx. And finally, make sure the URL that you requested is a URL that your app is ready to give a response for. So if your home page is at /home, make sure you type /home or else you won't get it. So happy coding and good luck again.